Hello everyone, with cat around the corner, all of you would be having your jitters. Parajumbles is a question that many of you find easy, some of you might find it difficult. There is a normal perception that the parajumble questions without the options are difficult. To some extent, that opinion is agreed, but the basic idea is when you look at the parajumble questions, there might be 4 of them or 5 of them in the coming cat question paper. 2 of them would be sitters, or 3 of them would be sitters. 2 might be difficult. So if you miss on the sitters, you are committing a crime. So the basic idea here is to show you the questions that you can solve easily and try understanding the underlying logic behind the questions so that the accuracy while solving questions on parajumbles increases. There are 2 types of questions as we'll come across here in this presentation. Have a look at how to solve the questions. Okay, so here the first question that is there pertains to the odd one out. Now let's have a look at how to solve the question. I'll read through the sentences and then we'll try to figure out what is the best option in order to solve the questions. Okay, so there is a dark side to academic research. So we are a dark side. There is a dark side to academic research. Looks like an introductory statement. What is the dark side? And its center is the phenomena of predatory generals. So the dark side and the reason for the dark side has also been mentioned. We are talking in terms of the dark side of academic research, and that happens to be predatory generals. But in truth, as long as you pay, you can get anything published. A negative point, so would be in line with sentence 1, but where we need to see further. In look and feel, thus, they are exactly like any reputed journal. So when I say the word thus, it has to be because of a certain reason. So what is the reason that they look and feel like any reputed journal? So I need to read 4. They claim to be indexed in the most influential databases, say they possess editorial boards that comprise top scientists and researchers, and claim to have a rigorous peer review. So a rigorous peer review, top scientists and researchers, most influential databases, they possess editorial boards, all these. Thus they say, or thus they are like any reputed journal. So we are talking in terms of predatory journals. Now let's try understanding. We are talking in terms of predatory journals. They claim to be indexed in the most influential databases. Predatory as a word means something that is there to exploit you, something that is there to harm you or is detrimental to you. So they claim, look, they claim to be indexed in the most influential databases, everything. In look and feel, thus, they look like any reputed journals. But this we are talking in terms of predatory journals, remember. But in truth, can we see that? But in truth, as long as you pay, you can get anything published. So if we had to order the sentences, it would have been very simply 1, 4, 3, 2. Okay, now if we look at the 5th one, but a large section of researchers and scientists across the world are at the receiving end of nothing short of an academic publishing scam. Now, when I say but a large section of researchers and scientists across the world are at the receiving end of an academic scam, uske pehle kya hona chahiye? Uske pehle some people have benefited from the good that an academic research does. Then I say, but something wrong is happening. Okay, so here if we read the remaining 4 sentences, they are already talking in terms of a dark side. There is no good mentioned out here. The 5th one cannot be in sync with 1, 2, 3, and 4. Hence, the 5th one is the odd one out, and that would have been your answer. Okay, let's look at the next one. Here, you have to identify the sequence of the 4 sentences. Now, this is, I think, a question that should not be left. Have a look. The work is more than the text. Which work? I do not know. The convergence of the text and reader brings the literary work. Brings the literary work. Which literary work? I do not know. Again, 1 and 2 cannot be my opening sentences. From this polarity, again, where is the polarity? I do not know. Again, that cannot be your opening sentence. The literary work has 2 poles. Perfect. Bingo. I get my idea. The literary work has 2 poles, and from this polarity, can I straight away get 4 and 3? Okay, now moment I've got 4 and 3, I don't need to rush, because that is where the problem sets in. I'll go through simply. I have time in hand. Remember, I have a lot of time in hand. I have 2 to 3 minutes for a parajumble question. And the idea is to get it right. So moment I see 4 and 3 as a mandatory pair, ये तो पक्का हो गया कि mandatory pair होगा और 4 looks like an opening statement. I'll just try to read and try to understand what the paragraph is talking about. Okay, literary work has 2 poles, which we might call the artistic and the aesthetic. The artistic refers to the text created by the author. Okay, the artistic is the text created by the author, and the aesthetic is the realization of the reader, realization accomplished by the reader. Perfect. We are talking in terms of 2 poles, the artistic and the aesthetic. The artistic being the text by the author, and the aesthetic being the realization accomplished by the reader. Perfect. And from this polarity, it follows that the literary work cannot be completely identical to that with the text. Agreed? Or with the realization of the text. So neither it is completely the author, neither it is completely the reader. It has to be something in between, but in fact must lie between the two. So some part reader, some part author. The convergence of the text. Okay, I see some part author, some part reader. So 432, the convergence of the text. So moment I get 432, automatically one has to follow. That is the answer. End of story. I don't even need to read sentence 1. So this was an easy question, not to be left. Okay, let's look at the next one. Now, 4 sentences can be put together to form a coherent paragraph. Identify the odd one out. Okay, the legal status of resources, mind, and space remains ambiguous. Okay, so we are talking in terms of something to do with space mining, and their legal status remain outer space is commons, and all of it is open to exploration. However, space law developed in the 1950s and 60s is state-centric and has been ill-suited for a commercial future. So possibly something is not good with the relation to space laws. Okay, laws adopted by the US and the first steps, but they only protect firms from competing claims. A Chinese company will not be bound by the US law. Something ill-suited. So if you look at the word ill-suited here, laws are ill-suited. A Chinese company not bound by a US law. So can I say 2 and 3 are connected? Yes. At issue now is critics say the US is conferring rights that it has no authority to confer. Where is it conferring rights? So US is in a dominant position. It is conferring rights. I don't know which rights are we talking about. Okay, and it issue now is commercial activity as private firms rather than nation states look to space for profit. So we are talking in terms of some commercial space, commercial utilization of space. That is the idea. So if we look at commercialization, points that mention commercialization. So if we look at 5, it talks in terms of commerce. A Chinese company will not be bound by US law, something talking in terms of commerce for a commercial future, and while the market for asteroid. So if you look at 1, 2, 3, and 5, they talk in terms of something to do with commerce. Whereas the 4th one talks in terms of US being in a dominant position. Whereas if you look at 2, it says that laws are ill-suited. So something to do with laws, something to do with commerce, and something to do with space exploration. If you look at that idea as a whole, the 4th one looks like the odd one out. Agreed? Because it is neither talking in terms of space, neither it is talking in terms of something that is incomplete. It is talking in terms of US conferring rights that it has no authority to confer. So we do not know. Now, if we try to figure out what can be the order of the remaining sentences, so possibly if you look at it, 5 possibly can be the opening statement, because something has started happening. The private firms look to space for profit. Agreed? Why? Because outer space is a commons. That means it is open to all for exploration. Okay, it is for everyone. So 5 and 2 looks possible. Yes. Why are private organizations looking to space? Because it is for everyone. Let's put it this way. Okay, the moment I have 5 and 2 together, we are talking in terms of space exploration, and space laws developed in 1950s is state-centric and arguably ill-suited to a commercial future. Possibly we are talking in terms of space mining. The legal status of resources mined in space remains ambiguous. Okay, Ill-suited because the legal status of resources is ambiguous. So can I say 5 to 1? And while the market for asteroids is currently non-existent, this is likely to change as technical hurdles diminish. So over a period of time, things might change. Now, when we look at 5 to 1 moment I have, automatically we'll have 3 that follows. Because laws adopted by the US and Luxembourg are first steps, but a Chinese company is not bound by US law. Again, providing how the laws are still incomplete. So 5 to 1, 3 is a logical answer. Okay. Let's look at the next one. This is again a question that is pretty doable, a question that should not have been left in the paper. In the central nervous system of other animal species. So first we need to discuss some animal species, then we talk in terms of other animal species. Okay. So the first one is something that can be eliminated. It cannot be an opening sentence. Here you need to figure out the sequence of the sentences. Okay. Biologist from the University of Beirut, looks logical, discovered a uniquely rapid form of regeneration. So they have discovered a uniquely rapid. Okay, they studied. Perfect, bingo, again, 2, 3. So can I have biologists and they study the Mothner cells? Looks logical, perfect. Which are solely responsible for the escape behavior of the fish and previously regarded as incapable of regeneration. So they have discovered a uniquely rapid form of regeneration among the and from the Mothner cells, which were previously regarded as incapable of regeneration. Clearly 2, 3 is a pair. However, their ability to regenerate, their ability is probably referring to the Mothner cells here. However, their ability to regenerate crucially depends on the location of the injury. So can I have 2, 3, 4? Perfect. And in the central nervous system of other animal species. Okay. So in 1 minute, you could have easily scored 3 marks. You solve this question. Let's look at another one. Okay. Now, this is again, you have to sequence the 4 sentences. A popular response is the exhortation to plant more trees. Exhortation means the encouragement or pushing to plant more trees. Why would this? Because of a certain problem. So where is the problem? Let's see. It seems all but certain that global warming will go above 2 degrees, quite how no one knows yet. Because we have our problems. Okay, so if you know the meaning of the word exhortation, exhortation means encouragement. So 2 and 1 looks likely because then you have a problem, you need to respond to a problem. So can I say 2 and 1? Okay, burning them releases it. So is the exhortation to plant more trees. Burning them releases it. Now what is it? I don't have that it. Still. So let's look at the next one. This is because trees sequester carbon by absorbing carbon dioxide. So there is an exhortation to plant more trees. Why is the exhortation? Because trees sequester carbon. Sequester means to separate carbon by absorbing carbon dioxide. Okay. So the exhortation to plant more trees. Why? Because this is because trees sequester 214. Perfect. Fine. Burning them releases it. It here is the carbon dioxide. Okay. So we get 2, 1, 4, 3. So if we look at the questions, we can very well again revise. This is pretty doable. This can be done. This again doable. This you could have left. Possibly this is again doable. This is also doable. So out of 5, you could have easily solved 4. 4, 12 marks. Add almost a 20 percentile to your VS score. Okay, so focus on parajumbles. You cannot be blind saying, I will not solve a single question on parajumbles. That would be a bad idea. I'll pick and choose. I'll definitely not solve the difficult ones. Agreed, 200% agreed. But leaving the easy ones is criminal. Practice another 5 days. All of you practice 7 to 10 parajumble questions on a daily basis. And on the final day, you'll definitely have 2 to 3 parajumble questions in your kitty. I hope I have been able to help you understand and solve how parajumble questions are solved. Hope to see all of you do well in CAT. Thank you, all of you.